And good evening, everyone. We are back with another Disney review, continuing our Disney 100 Years of Wonder retrospective. And, well, I guess this is this was the one to mark the centennial itself. This was released in 2023.
This is the one to mark the end. It's the last original.
Yeah, it kind of wraps it all up at the end, doesn't it? Sort of looking back on all of the previous ones when you get to the end credits of the film. And the film itself is pretty much just cliff notes of all of the main Disney classics that you remember. We do have another one to talk about, though, that was released November last year, Moana 2. So that's the one that we'll be talking about next week. That has not been released on DVD, so I'm going to have to try and go to the cinema to see that, if it's still on there. I don't even know if it's still playing at this point, so we'll figure it out. But yeah, today we are talking about Wish, which is number 61 for us, and I believe it's 60 in the US. I think, I'm not sure because of the lists being completely different. But yeah, this was the one to celebrate 100 years of Disney, and we started our retrospective in the same year, 2023, of the October. It's gone so quick. Can't believe we're essentially at the end already, right?
We started 2023.
Yeah.
Oh shit. That's weird. It's 2025.
It is weird, isn't it? Yeah,
that's
when we started. Yeah,
that's strange.
So, Wish. This was directed by Chris Buck, who directed Frozen.
And
Frozen
who else?
2,
there was two.
And Vera Sunthorn.
I always get nervous when there's two directors.
Why?
I don't know. I just I can just picture them fighting and going, now this should happen. Now this should happen. And it just, I can just see it. It's like, Mummy, Daddy, stop fighting. That's what I see.
Well, this was, I'm just going to call the director Fawn, because I'm not going to keep trying to butcher that pronunciation of the surname. It's Fawn's directorial debut, with this one. So, yeah, we hadn't seen this before today. We'd never watched this one. I watched this for the first time this morning in preparation for this review. And I pretty much didn't know anything about the story, the characters, I didn't even know if it had music in it. It could have been a non-musical Disney film again. So
it had music. It had music.
One might say it had too much music, in my opinion. But yeah, I went in. I couldn't have gone into this any colder than I did today. And I have my opinions on it. And we might actually differ on this one. There might be a bit of discourse with this one, because I guess if I'm just going to sort of my initial opinions on this, I thought this was the definition of safe for Disney. Go on.
It's weird because I think, because you say that we have different opinions, which is true in a way, because like you say, you see it as it's safe, it's kind of surface level. Do you know what I mean, for yourself? I see it in the similar way, but it's those qualities that I think stand out for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
In a way.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's cliff notes, as I mentioned. You've got the main princess character. That's fine. That's a staple of Disney. Haven't got a problem with that.
I like her.
It brings into the whole theme of Disney films of wishing upon a star and wishes coming true. There's allusions to the original Snow White with Evil Queen and Magic Mirror on the Wall, and you've kind of got a sorcerer character like
and the talking trees.
You got the talking trees, the talking animals, the villagers. She's got 7 companions. It was filmed in widescreen, was it? Like with the black bars at the top, like Sleeping Beauty. It's everything you remember from all those films kind of manufactured and packaged into this new film, but I don't feel like it has an identity of its own. I feel like they've cherry-picked all the things that made the other films work, but have kind of neglected character, story, and the story making sense. And I just have a real big problem with the villain in this film as well.
Well, this is the thing. This is where, like, for instance, everything you mentioned, I don't disagree with. But, like, I think the way you see this movie, you've kind of delved into it and go, well, you know, the villain's not really a villain because of this. And, but as much as I say I agree and I see that point, I think the way I viewed this movie was that surface level where it's like, the villain and he's, there's colorful magic and stuff and it looks cool. They're in a Mediterranean fucking like little village town. And I just thought it looked quite fun. And it is, it's a weird one because on the surface level, it's just a fun, quirky kind of thing. But I don't think there's much plot of a whole like, but that's really cool. It's just like, yeah, that's fun. Does little fun things. I fucking hated the talking animals. So I could not stand any of them. I really didn't like them.
Well, you can't have a Disney movie without talking animals, right? You got to throw those in there as well.
Yeah.
It's a staple of Disney. That's what this is trying to do. Nothing else. We've got a few comments. Brian says, I haven't seen this movie yet. I need to watch it.
Well, you'll be pleased to know, Brian, it will make a good World in Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, you did say that, didn't you? Yeah, before we went live. And we got Carl, who says, evening, guys. How you doing, man? How you doing?
I have a question. When does the evening become the night?
Oh, God, I did know the answer to this. I think isn't evening like 7 p.m.? No. It's until 8, isn't it? And then it becomes the night?
So does the
Or is it
afternoon
9?
become the evening at 6? Is it like that? I don't know. But then again, would you consider 5 o'clock the afternoon? Not really. It's like the end of work. You're done.
Let me have a look.
I don't know. That comment opened a lot of questions for me.
When we use the word evening to refer to plans and arrangements, we are generally thinking of a period of the day that begins about 5 or 6 p.m. and lasts up till 11 p.m. or midnight, apparently. That's
What
the
the fuck
evening.
is nighttime?
I know.
Like, whereas like you get there and you're like, there's no such thing as night. That's weird. We found out there's no such thing as nighttime. Fuck, that's
Yeah.
a weird thing to realize at 30 years old.
Mm-hmm.
29.
Bringing it back. Oh, God, yeah, I know. Yeah, I wish. Well, I'm going to be another year wiser tomorrow, which I'm not looking forward to.
Yeah, it's like less than 24 hours.
I've got less than 4 hours of being 31.
Ever closer to that age where you might have a stroke.
Carl says, next time I'll just say hello.
Hey, next time you say hello, I'm probably gonna have questions about that. Like, I'm gonna think of the origins of where that word came from.
Uh-huh.
Like, why does it have the word hell in it? Was it supposed to not be a greeting? Was it actually supposed to be, what's that word? Vicious? I don't know. I mean, hey, I've got a lot of questions.
Well, I want to know the answers to that. That's your homework for next week. I want to know. Bringing it back to Wish then. So this was another box office bomb, following hot off the heels of Strange World, which was also a bomb. This one didn't bomb quite as bad, but it still did lose the company a lot of money. Apparently, the budget for this one was done roughly between 175 and 200 mil. Then you've got to consider all of the marketing on top of that and whatnot. And apparently, analysts consider it to be a box office bomb as the studio lost an estimated $131 million. So yeah, that's probably why, honestly, off the back of Strange World and this, 2 original Disney movies, both of them bombed horrifically and lost a lot of money. So what has Disney done? They've gone into damage control. They've panicked and gone, right, let's look at the previous films that made us a lot of money. Frozen, Moana, and Zootopia, which we keep forgetting, that made well over $1 billion. I don't know how that happened, but it did. And what have we got? They march out Frozen 2. Sorry, they march out Moana 2. We've got Zootopia 2 this year. And then we're getting Frozen 3 and Frozen 4 in a few years' time.
Frozen the third.
Well, I think it's...
Well, that's Shrek the third. So
they're going to miss a trick if they don't do this. They need to do well, actually, Frozen 2 was the Roman numeral 2, doesn't it? So you kind of need like the Wolverine slash for the next one. But I kind of want them to just do like FROZ3N. That's the one time they're going to have to do it.
That's very Disney, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah,
it is. But Moana 2 is pretty cool. They've got like Maui's fish hook as the number 2. I'm like, okay, that's someone deserves a raise for that.
Fish hooks aren't fun. They grab fish by the cheek and it hurts. It's not good.
And Steve-O from Jackass the movie.
Yeah. Good times.
Carl says, I feel like this made some due to it just being in cinema for ages, even though the screenings were rarely full. Yeah, I honestly don't know. Well, apparently many people didn't go and see this because it lost a lot of money, but there wasn't much talk about this one at all, even though it was considering it was, Disney's 100th year and this was the film they were throwing out for it. I heard next to nothing on this movie at all. It's had very, very little impact.
Well, every bit of like marketing I saw for it, so when I saw it on buses and stuff, none of it ever actually appealed. That's the thing. It's really weird. Like, I saw it and I was kind of like, But also, I think coming off the bat of Strange World, which was some weird fucking... it was strange. Anyway, right, do you know what I mean? Like, it was weird. I think coming off the bat of that, it didn't give Disney a good look, but the movie did have a very good look. I did like the art style.
Let's talk about the animation for this one, because I think this is probably the most unique thing about the film, and really in terms of the whole Disney catalog. Really, there might be some sketches in Fantasia 2000 that maybe flirt with this kind of traditional animation but kind of computerized look. I think they were delving into it all the way back there with Fantasia 2000, but this one does have a very unique look to it. It's this sort of beautiful blend between traditional and CGI animation. It was originally intended to all be done in traditional because it was trying to honor where Disney kind of started off, but then it was quickly vetoed by the filmmakers, I think, because they thought that doing it all in traditional hand-drawn animation would be quite limiting in terms of the camera's movement and the dynamic of the movie. Well, they did just fine for however many movies was it? What, 44 movies? So, but yeah, so they found this way to integrate the two of them, and it almost kind of looks a little bit like, I always compare it to Into the Spider-Verse, that kind of cel-shaded look to it a little bit. It might turn some people off, but I actually, when I saw the trailer for it, the animation style was the first thing that hit me, and I was like, it's not quite there. We're not quite back to hand-drawn animation, but this is like a comfortable medium between the two. How do you think the animation held up throughout the entire movie? Did the novelty of it kind of wear off for you, or did you like it all the way through?
Do you know what? I did think it got better. I did think that at first, like, oh, will it? Because first, as soon as I saw it, when you get that book open, I thought, oh, is this 2D now? Are they like, I thought it was that's what they were doing, and then you see. And then I realized, okay, it's 3D, but it looked really cool. And I was like, do you know what? This doesn't feel like a Pixar movie anymore. We had so many that felt very Pixar, very fucking, I don't know. But this felt more like a Disney movie. So I did really, really like that. Off the bat, pretty much. It's what a lot of people, thought with Eddie Van Halen's guitar, the art style, and just like how great it looked. So yeah, I mean, I did think, I thought it held up all the way through, but at first I did think, because of the way because it was so unique and so different, like Eddie Van Halen's guitar. But yeah, because it was so unique and so different, I did think that first bit of the movie, I thought there was going to be some sort of time jump or something. I thought it was, do you know what I mean? Going to be that sort of, this is done differently, and then the rest is going to be, that's what I thought was going to happen, but I'm glad they didn't do that, because I thought it looked really, really good. And it's unique, like you say, but the biggest thing for me is it looked like a Disney movie again. I feel like we hadn't had that in a while.
Yeah, what would you say the last one has been where you thought that? Because I mean, I look at Zootopia and think, oh, that's Disney movie, but I don't know if you...
You know what? It's weird, especially doing this retrospective, because like when you watch it, that's what makes it feel like, because Tangled feels like a Disney movie, but when you look at it and compare it to like this, it's like, and then you think, does it look like one though? It's weird. So I don't really know, but I just really wish they'd go back to 2D. I really do. I miss 2D animation. I say I miss 2D animation with a lot of like anime and stuff. Obviously, I see it a lot, but like, yeah, I miss the whole, traditional kids kind of, because it just doesn't feel like it anymore. And the thing that feels different to me as well is when I was a kid and I was, watching movies and stuff, kids movies, they were obviously 2D animation. Then when I got older and they became this 3D thing, it made me feel even older. Like, I'm not a part of this. Like, kids movies are not for me anymore. And it just really amplified that, which was weird.
Well, when Hulu brought back Animaniacs for a couple of seasons, even when they do bring back 2D animation, it looks very digital now and less detailed and less refined. Like if you compare the Animaniacs from the 90s or whenever it came out, or the 2000s, whenever it was, to the modern one, there's just more detailing in the backgrounds and the character models themselves. Now it seems like it's almost like a budgetary thing. We've got to try and do less edges and more blocky colors and less shading and stuff. And I always wonder, like, why did cartoons and animated stuff look so much better in terms of traditional animation? Why did it look so much better back then than it does now?
I genuinely believe people have stopped trying. because you see it with the influx of like AI and shit. And I know it's a bit of a different thing. Like they're not using AI to do it. I mean, who knows what goes on? But like the thing is, with all this increase in AI and companies using AI to write their articles, to do this, to do that, people don't try anymore. You know, like you get so many of these places where, you know, AI is used to generate something. I mean, you know, workplaces will teach their staff to be like, yeah, but you've got to check it to make sure, blah, 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 blah. It's like, yeah, but that's not the same as creating it yourself. I genuinely believe so many places have lost their touch of trying and doing stuff, because the thing is, if you've got this AI bot telling you how to do things on a day-to-day, if suddenly then the next day you're asked to do it yourself, you're going to be like, you know what I mean? And yeah, I genuinely believe people they've just stopped trying. We've become so used to and so lazy, you know, become so used to that whole things being done for us, which, and I believe that's what's happening. Because the thing is as well, the more time moves on, and in 10 years, when we've got, you know, animated movies, the people creating them would have been at uni in the time where AI was doing so much for them. So they are not used to doing all the kind of stuff, regardless how much it's used in the work of art, like music and all that sort of stuff, which it is. But regardless how much it is, their day-to-day life, there's so much that people just do not do themselves anymore. That when it comes to creativity, how much they're really going to have, it's not going to be long before creativity becomes so lost, and it's just awful.
Yeah, and I think what people are probably sick to death of me keep harping on about traditional animation, but it's just because I'm really passionate about it and would love to see it make a return at some point. Is that back in, oh god, I'm so old. Back in the day when we were watching Disney movies in the 90s, you had Disney, that was your traditional hand drawn one. You had Pixar, which was your computer animated one. So you got the best of both worlds. And then DreamWorks kind of mixed with the two. You had stuff like Road to El Dorado and Prince of Egypt, which was some of the most wonderful hand drawn stuff you've ever seen. And then they also do computer animation. They did like Ants, and of course Shrek was their big breakout in the 2000s. And then everything started to just become, around sort of like the mid 2000s, everything just became uniformly computer animation. And I feel like a lot of companies kind of lost their identity a little bit.
Yeah.
We were talking that, you know, like Walt Disney, oh, well, that feels like a Pixar film now. And then you get Pixar's Brave and you're like, well, that feels like a Disney film now. And then you look at DreamWorks and you're like, I don't even know what the fuck that looks like anymore, because DreamWorks are really inconsistent. One time they can bring out one of the greatest computer animated films of all time. Another time they can bring out that snail movie that was like Fast and Furious. You know,
Yeah,
so there's no consistency.
I'm so sick of formulas in this world, and I mean, obviously, I get why places do it. And I get why big companies, you know, do it, because, you know, it's kind of like, this works, we know what works, and blah 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 blah, and, you know, and then the higher ups, I've been doing this for 20 years, I've been doing this 30 years, blah blah blah, and, you know, I get it, I get what they're saying, but everything becomes so uniform, and we do this because it works, whereas, you know, years and years ago, when things were, it was like trial and error, or not even trial and error, but like, there was discoveries of different ways, and people were doing this, people were doing that. Like, people weren't afraid to break those boundaries. You think of it all, you know, in music. I mean, think about music, for an example of like any of like the big bands or anyone like that. They're usually like the first of their kind on the scene, or like right at the edge, like Guns N' Roses were quite basically like that end of like the hair metal sort of thing, and you know, then they hit big. Or you've got like, you know, Van Halen. Yeah, it's so many today. You know, it like, you know, in the very very late 70s, you know, Eddie was the first, you know, to do, you know, like that, to that extent. You know, that you know, that kind of stage persona as well, and then, you know, then the formula came around, and, you know, everything just becomes quite uniform. And then like Nirvana, as much as not a fan, like, you know, it's that first to do that kind of look, and people seem to kind of forget that you do have to break that mold sometimes and do something different and try things. But when you get companies like Disney, who are like, shit, we need to make money, we need to do this, they literally just play it safe.
Yeah, what do you think, if Disney said this style from Wish, the combination of the two different art styles, is going to be the new norm? Would you
I
be happy about that, or do you
I
think
do
that?
I do like the idea of it. I did think that I was watching, I was like, we need more like this. But because it's so unique. If they just had another one like it, I'd be like, it just looks like Wish. So I
Yeah.
think we need more experimental like this, but we need people not to be afraid that it's not going to be this perfect glossy thing. Which I think for this, they kind of was like, right, let's do something different, let's do this. And I don't know how much praise the art style got, to be fair. I didn't read loads and loads on behind the scenes. I don't know if people praised it a lot. But the thing is, if they did, we know they're going to make the next movie exactly the same.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we know they're not, because they're going to go back to computer animation for at least the next 3 or potentially 4 Disney animated classics.
We're not
We
going to have an
actually
original. Oh, we have got an original this year, haven't we? Right at the end of the year or something.
No, it's going
Or
to
is it
be
next year?
Zootopia 2. You might be thinking of Pixar. Pixar's got a couple of.
No, Disney's got one new untitled one announced.
That's it. Yeah, they haven't announced it yet, have
Is it
they?
this year or next year though?
Next year, I think.
So this year we're without a Disney classic. We are with a Disney classic, but
2025.
we're with
Yes.
fake Disney classics.
Yeah, Zootopia 2 this year, then there'll be an unnamed one in 2026, and then Frozen 3 is coming out 2027. So
yeah, fake Disney classics we call them.
yes. Well, regards to the technology and the animation and everything, there was a quote from the director who mentioned that she was, quote, excited about honoring Walt Disney with the feature. Our art and technology team would come together to figure out how to combine the 20th century illustration look that inspired Walt Disney with the CGI technology we have now. And to that end, I think it was a success. As we mentioned, I think it was a unique style. I just wish that the writing and the story and the characters of the film itself complemented the art style, because the art style, I can't fault that. It was something very different for Disney, and I appreciate it for doing something different. I get the impression that this film was troubled by focus groups and probably higher ups that changed the end product. Apparently, a lot of story elements were outright deleted, or the entire story was completely reworked. Very similar to how Frozen was originally. How I keep mentioning it, it was going to be much closer to the adaptation of the Snow Queen, and that Elsa was going to be the villain. And then a lot of last minute decisions got made, and we got the film that we did. So apparently, with regards to this film with Wish, and apparently in the Art of Wish art book, it reveals that Queen Amaya in the film was also going to be a villain alongside her husband Magnifico, and it was going to be this husband and wife villain dynamic, which I don't know, that could have been interesting. Maybe she's kind of in the dark in a lot of things in this one with regards to her husband's sort of like evil, tyrannical qualities, I suppose. And also a big change here. Star was originally going to be apparently, quote, a human character, part magical, part glowing, inspired a bit by Peter Pan. And again, you could probably attribute that to another, we're cherry picking from all these different Disney canon, Disney animated classic iconography.
It felt very Mario to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
That's what I could have in my head. Like when she puts it under her hood.
I think maybe if they had have gone with a human character, then it would have been too close to Peter Pan. Because I mean, you do kind of essentially have the whole pixie dust thing in this, don't you? With the it doesn't make people fly, but it can. Well, I suppose it could, but it just grants wishes, doesn't it? So, and also you can tell that Disney were like, we need a cutesy, plushy, marketable character. We've got the goat. We've got Valentino. Let's get the little plushy star in there as well.
Shitty voice acting. Fucking hate that character.
We got Brinsley in the comments, says, sup lads, and he says, are you caught up on Disney movies? I'm not sure what's next.
On a technicality, this is the last original. Moana 2 is not an original Disney movie. Moana 1 is.
But we will be talking about Moana 2 next week.
Oh, we will, but
and then we're going to backtrack. And then we're going to backtrack to the 2 American ones. So
just for the Yanks, yes.
We had a comment on what video would it have been? Might have been on The Wild, perhaps, I'm guessing, where it kind of veered off with the 2 lists, requesting that we talk about Disney's Dinosaur and the 2011 Winnie the Pooh movie. So we decided to add those in, and when you've got the finished playlist for this thing, I'll move those videos to run side by side with our list. I hope that person watches those videos now, because they specially requested those 2. We were going to bypass them.
Well, what if they're dead?
Oh no! I hope not. God.
Then you will be angry at a dead person for not showing up, which I don't think you're allowed to do that.
It's that oh god, back when Frankie Boyle was pretty decent of a comedian, he's doing his live show and there's 2 empty seats. He's like, It's supposed to be sold out tonight. Hope they died in a fucking car crash. He points to
Well,
the two empty seats.
statistically, if there's a gig, right, and they sold tickets, and well, obviously they sold tickets, but like it's but what, a year before?
Yeah,
So
usually.
statistically, a few people will die.
Yeah.
No, I'm not on about every gig, but like over the time, you're gonna get gigs where there might be one drop off the perch or whatever. Like that's that's gonna be a thing. So maybe they were dead.
Maybe it's potential. There were a couple of other scenes that got deleted and changed around with this one. Apparently, there were several concepts and scenes that were going to be involving Asha and her family hiding away in a village where the people write their wishes on trees. Her grandfather Sabino dies shortly after inspiring Asha to fight Magnifico. There was going to be a chase scene through the forest where Star transformed into different creatures of the forest to escape Queen Amaya and her guards. Clearly, that was when she was still a villain. And apparently, there was going to be an alternate ending where Magnifico devoured wishes to become all-powerful, and Asha, intending to stall him, attempted to pass Valentino off as Star. And apparently there was going to be a scene of Sabino, her grandfather, singing A Wish Worth Making after Asha recovers his wish. And apparently that was cut from the film a very, very late date for unknown reasons. So a lot of different changes with this one. Let's kind of dive into the film a little bit more, then we'll talk about characters and themes and whatnot, because to me, this is where the film kind of falls on its arse a little bit. And it's actually kind of like a very, very mean-spirited film. Where do you want to go with this one? Do you want to start with Asha, or should we go with the villain on this one, King
Let's go with
Magnifico?
Asha.
Okay, so actually
her.
the main villain of the film then, Asha, in my opinion. But
I liked her. I liked Asha. I thought she was quite fun. I thought she had a good singing voice as well.
yeah, we'll talk about the music. The music kind of outsays as well. Because I suppose as singing voices go, yeah, she's pretty good.
I thought her style of the character as well. Like, because the thing is, when you get characters and stuff, you look at their movements and the way they move, and I think she, the way she moved through sounds weird, the way she moved was great, but you know what I mean, like you think about like their movements, and it's kind of like, when an actor plays a character, they think about the certain tics that character has, the certain way they move their facial expressions. I think Asha came across as quite what's the word, I was going to say attractive, but I don't mean like, oh, she's hot. And I was going to say interesting, but when something's like, as they attracted to look at, that appealing, I mean, she came across as like, it was an appealing, person walking through the screen. I'd say I liked her. I thought she was quite fun. I thought she was a good lead, to be fair.
How do you think she stacks up against all the other Disney heroines?
Oh yeah, no, she's not a Belle or fucking like, do you know what I mean? She's not there, but she was she was durable for the movie. She wasn't fucking like, what's her name from Encanto? The fucking
Mirabelle. Is it Mirabelle?
Fucking silly bitch. No, not her. Yeah, I mean, we didn't like her, but
we didn't like Encanto.
No, that movie. No.
That's probably very controversial, actually, and I think a lot of people that Encanto has kind of found this newfound fame, almost.
Well,
but
so did
not
Jimmy
for us.
Savile when he touched kids, but But
oh dear,
I liked Asha. I liked her. I liked the way I liked her character design. I mean, maybe it's just because she wears purple. Maybe that's the thing. But I liked her character design. I thought she was cool, and she's memorable. Like, she is a memorable character. She's not a standout like, oh my god, Belle, like memorable, but she's a memorable, like, you think, do you know what? Yeah, I remember her being quite cool. Kind of like in Raya. Thing is, Raya in Raya and the Last Dragon, I do prefer her character, but she's, thing is, I did like that movie, so it's weird to say, but they're memorable in similar ways where you go, oh, they were cool, but not in a really like, do you know what I mean? But like Moana, for instance, like, she has more personality. I liked Moana as a character.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, she's not unmemorable. There you go. That's a better way to put it. She's not an unmemorable character. I think she was a good lead, and I think she held up a good movie, and she was enjoyable to watch.
I find her completely forgettable. She seems so, as I say, safe. It's almost like an AI created this. It's just put all the ingredients of what you expect a Disney heroine to be, enthusiastic, energetic, empathetic, nice, That's the word I can describe her as, nice. And as we know, nice is
I
never
was
a good
told not
word.
to use that word when I was a kid.
Exactly. It's so just vacant, just bog standard. You know, she sings her songs, she does a little princessy stuff kind of thing. She's not a princess, but you know what I mean. And I have nothing else to say about her. What I can say about her, though, is that we're meant to believe that she is doing everything in the best interests of her family and her city, and what is it, the city of Rosas, Kingdom of Rosas, and that those are all very lovely, wonderful qualities to have. However, when you break it down, I think the big thing that this film is lacking is that it paints Magnifico as the villain, when I actually don't think he is. I think he is actually just being a very sensible ruler, and the film kind of goes out of its way to vilify him in a very quick change. I don't think there's like any development for the villain at all. It's like, right, we need him to be this sort of like evil queen Jafar like sorcerer for the ending. Screw it, let's just make him evil out of, you know, complete whole cloth. So let me paint the picture for this. The entire crux of the film is that the people of Rosas have moved to this kingdom of their own volition because they respect King Magnifico, that he is a wise and just ruler, and he has built this kingdom himself, and he's not a tyrannical leader or anything like that. They've all joined there of their own accord. And he allows them to give them their wishes, which takes the shape of like an actual tangible, physical, floating, magical orb, which contains all of their wants and desires and their wishes. And he keeps them safe, and he keeps them in his tower. And every year on a ceremony, he'll grant one person of the kingdom their wish. So we begin the movie. Asher is having this job interview, essentially, to be the apprentice. And I was thinking, oh, the sorcerer's apprentice. Are we kind of doing that thing? She's going for a job interview. And she gets there, and she quickly learns, and he takes a very drastic turn as soon as she starts asking questions, that he's not actually granting the majority of these wishes. He stores them and will refuse to give them back to the people of the kingdom. Should note as well, when the people of the kingdom give up their wish, they forget their passion for that thing, their need for that wish. So they sacrifice their wish to Magnifico. He keeps it safe, but they themselves forget about it. And she really wants her, like her aging grandfather, who's about 100 years old, to get his wish, because he's probably got like 1 year in him, if that. And she just wants him to have his wish before he dies. Again, all noble traits so far. But the king very wisely says his wish, he wants to inspire the next generation, I believe was his wish, through his music, essentially. Initially, sorry, but he says that the wish itself, inspire the next generation, is too vague a wish. If I grant that, there's not enough specificity to it. And what could inspire the next generation be? Inspiring the next generation could mean that the next generation leads a revolution against the kingdom and just, you know, complete upheaval. So for the sake of the kingdom and the good of the kingdom, I'm not going to grant that wish. In my opinion, that is a very sensible, a very wise leader. And it's, you know, it's for the greater good. He does it with a heavy heart, but he does what's best. What is Asher's immediate response to this? She calls him a villain, like, you can't do this. I'm going to find a way to steal my wish. She's very selfish. She's like, I want this wish for my grandfather, and you're going to give me this wish. And even after he gives his explanation, she refuses to have this. And her grand plan is to break into the tower and steal that wish back and the wishes of the entire kingdom. And really, for me, the rest of the film is Magnifico trying to maintain this kingdom. What I think this film lacks is a sense of responsibility and a cautionary moral tale. I thought like a good concept for this. You ever seen Bruce Almighty with Jim Carrey? This is a really good example of this. So God can't grant everyone's prayers. You know, that's why there's wars in the world. That's why there's death and, you know, horrors. He has to be specific with the ones that he grants. When that mantle goes to Jim Carrey's character, Bruce, and he gets those emails coming in of, you know, a new prayer, and it takes the form of emails. He says, right, I grant everyone's prayers, yes to all. And he sends it out. And what's the first thing that happens? He opens the curtains, and there's like war and gang violence and riots in the streets. Absolute crazy shit. Because, you know, some people are going to have absolutely abhorrent wishes that are going to doom the world. and
Mhm.
he's just said yes to all of them. That is chaos, and the film showcases that. And God comes in and sorts it all out at the end. Another example is the Book of Never-Ending Story. Now, I've only read the cliff notes of it, but I know that the film doesn't adapt this part. When Bastian kind of saves the day eventually, he ends up becoming the leader of Fantasia, and he creates a bunch of sort of like creatures and challenges in the kingdom so that he might best them, so everyone looks up to him as a hero, and eventually he gets crowned king. But by doing that, by tampering with everything and granting all of these wishes to people and, in his own imagination, he dooms the kingdom, and he ends up losing a part of himself every single time, almost like a Horcrux kind of thing. And there's a cautionary tale to it, and it has to all be mopped up at the end. I think that this film would have been better if she does steal everyone's wishes and she grants them all, and it completely dooms the kingdom. And then she has to form this unlikely alliance with King Magnifico to try and sort the mess out. And there needs to be a moral in the story that not everyone's wishes can be granted. It's got to be for the good of the world. Or maybe she even gets a leadership role and goes, wow, this is like really fucking hard, and maybe the people turn on her. I feel like the film was lacking that moral lesson. So I think the moral lesson that we get is to be selfish, and that your wish should be granted, god damn it, because it's this very, what film was it? Was it Encanto, where I said it was this kind of like narcissistic modern kind of outlook on life, that instant gratification and not having to work towards anything and just having everything granted?
I don't remember much about Encanto. I blacked out. In all honesty, it's that whole like you blocked it out because of trauma. That was.
Yeah, so I think that ultimately is what dooms this film for me, is that it's kind of this, on the surface it feels like a very nice message, and don't think too much about it and whatnot, but when you really break it down, it's that the whole hero and villain thing is completely skewed for me. Magnifico is we're just told that he's evil, and the film needs him to be evil, so we have to make him into this kind of narcissistic sorcerer guy who's obsessed with his own self-image and his sense of celebrity, and that comes out of left field as well a little bit. I don't know, it feels very
I don't know,
not constructed, arbitrary, I suppose.
I feel it's one of those movies, if you think about it, it might come across a bit shit, because this is the thing, and this is where I do agree, it's very surface level, so it's kind of like it's not got a lot of staying power in my brain of trying to overthink it. And I think that's when you don't overthink it and you think about what's going on. It's a nice, fun, not like fun like playing tag in school, but fun like not dying today kind of thing. Like it's got it. I think it's colourful. I think I don't love the villain. I don't, but I like him enough in the sense of when he does go, kind of really evil at the end. I thought it's kind of like, it's nice we've kind of got a villain. So I don't know. I think it's just one of those where it's like, it's not the biggest, I don't know, convoluted, because that sounds weird, but like, it's not the biggest like load of plot points. Or like, it just feels like it's nice. It's fun. There's wishes. He keeps them. She saves them.
But what's the moral of this story? Because I think morals for films like this, I think, and like kids' films, family films, are so important for this, because kids are smart, believe it or not. Kids can sort of read between, like, they might not pick up on the subtext of everything, especially if it's more of a family film, and that's what makes them so great. Because as an adult, no matter what age you are, you can always extrapolate something from it. But kids can pick up on themes, even on some kind of understanding. I remember when I was a little one, probably around 6, and I saw Return of the Jedi for the first time. I started with Phantom Menace and then worked my way through the originals. And I took things very literally as a kid. I wasn't the smartest, kid or anything like that. But when it got to Return of the Jedi and Luke cut Vader's hand off and he looked down at his own, and then he looks back at the severed hand he's just cut off from Vader, I actually thought that parts of Vader were grafting onto Luke. I'd completely forgotten about his robot hand in the glove. And when he looked at it, I thought after he cut Vader's hand off, Vader's hand had somehow like magically attached it to himself. So I completely read that too literally. But what I did pick up on was that Luke is becoming Vader. He is becoming the villain that he swore to destroy. So on some kind of subconscious level, I got that. And that's the main takeaway. So I think morals are important. So the film that we're presented with here, what would you say the moral of this story is overall?
Everyone should be able to wish for what they want. That is the moral. And I get
And that's
it.
what happens at the end.
No, I
Yeah.
get it. Like in that circumstance, it's kind of like you say, like a Bruce Almighty kind of thing where it's like, well, that shouldn't be able to happen. But it's that kind of, live your dreams, wish what you want, don't let anyone steal it from you. That's essentially what it is. And I think as a fun little family movie, that works. Like I say, it's not the biggest kind of like, oh, it works, oh, it's amazing, it's got this happens. It's got fucking annoying characters, fucking annoying fucking animals that I really dislike. But it's just got some nice little fun things, that it feels in a way like it could have been made up in a day, and sometimes that simplicity works. But the thing is, the whole thing where you say like not everyone should have their wishes, I agree that's a route we could have gone down. I do agree. And that would have been an interesting flip where people are like, oh, but was she the real, like, that is, that's cool. I do like that. But then at this, at the same time, it is, like I say, it's just a fun little movie. But the fact that there's that possibility, what you've mentioned, kind of lets the plot down a bit.
Well, by the end of it, she becomes a fairy godmother. There you go. There's another Disney reference for you. And, she gets given this magic wand from the magic star in the sky. And it's like, yep, she's going to be sort of like the village sage. She is going to be the sort of the de facto leader who will grant wishes to anyone and anything. Doesn't the goat, Valentino, say something like he wants to become a king of all of the animals and he wants to sort of lead an uprising of the animals or something? I'm like, oh my God, there's your wish sequel right there.
Absolutely hate that goat character. Fucking shit voice acting.
It's Alan Tudyk. It's Disney's Lucky Charm. Alan Tudyk's great.
Sounds shit.
He sounds like Patrick Stewart to me.
I mean, they could have got Patrick Stewart, but they didn't. He sounds shit. Fucking hate it. Like, if I have the least favorite thing about the movie, it's the fucking goat.
As goats go in Disney, Jolly from Hunchback of Notre Dame is much better.
As goats go, I mean, have you ever had goat's milk?
I probably have it. I've had goat's cheese, so I guess
goat's cheese is great. Yeah. Goat's milk is grim. So no, don't like the character. Fuck him off. Nah, I could have done without him.
If it's all the same with you, I won't fuck Valentino the goat off. Thank you very much.
Hey, some people do. Some people do that kind of shit, and what works for them works for them. I mean, have you ever seen that episode of South Park where the goat is the man's wife?
No.
Well, there's a whole village of them, and they all fuck animals.
Nice. Welcome to Disney's Wish, everyone, where we make all your wishes come true.
I still think as a fun little family movie, it works. I feel weird saying it works because it's still surface level. It's still not like a Beauty and the Beast of like, oh, it works. It's quite a cool. It's just, it works as a nice little charm. And are you gonna go back to it? No, because it's very, bland. It's one of those. But you've got some cool colors. You've got some cool, like a cool villain, and he does cool things. And you're like, yeah, that was nice. I didn't hate it.
We've got a few comments to get through. So we've got JDC Man who says Disney deleted the old Magnifico ending because, in Disney's words, they wanted Magnifico to be, quote, more threatening, end quote. But upon listening to those words and watching that scene, that is backwards logic. Yeah. What was the original ending, out of curiosity, for King
They
Magnifico?
wanted him to be more menacing, and yet they haven't had a menacing villain in how long?
Well, I say the last good Disney villain for me was Mother Gothel from Tangled. That was the last proper Disney villain. Beginning to end, she's the villain. She gets a villain song. Done.
I'm still waiting for Frozen 3 to have the long-lost fire brother that tries to penetrate Elsa and become one. That's what I'm waiting.
Frozen, Ice and Fire or something. It's going to be cool.
Do you know what it would be as well? And there'll be a song called Fire and Ice.
Yeah. Carl says, from all the Disney films you have reviewed, which would you say is your favorite and least favorite? Well, we do plan on, I think we've talked about doing a tier list at some point, haven't we? Like an S tier to, I don't know what tier it goes down to, the tier list.
I want to say Aladdin and Black Cauldron. at the moment, off the top of my head.
As your as favorites, right? Because he said
Yeah.
favorite and least
Yeah.
favorite.
Oh, yeah. As
Yeah.
favorites, yeah. Because Aladdin has always been, and I do. Do you know what, it's weird as well, especially when you have so many, and it's Disney based. Like Aladdin's always been like it's my favorite or one of my favorites. But I think when we reviewed it, I did say it was my favorite. Or that's I like I said, it's always been the in that top three. You know, and You know, if I was to pick two, I'd say sort of those two. Especially, you know, it's one of those things. Like I said, when you review so many things, you ask the question, and a month later, it could be like, well, now I'm kind of feeling this. But at this present time, yeah, Aladdin and Black Cauldron would be my two favorites. Least favorite, Encanto, and fuck, there was another one that I got really angry about. What was it?
It was probably The Wild.
Well, that doesn't count. That doesn't.
We're striking The Wild from the record.
That doesn't. Yeah, that just doesn't count. That's not a Disney movie. I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got Packy Pigeons, which were fun, but that was it. You know what I mean? But the rest, it does not count. That was the one I got angry about, wasn't it? But yeah, Encanto just fucking the big butch lesbian and the fucking the fucking dirty fucking main character. Oh my god, that movie was annoying. But Aladdin and yeah.
I was just going to let you go off on Encanto.
Sorry,
Let's just turn this into
I'm sorry, but you brought up some stuff. I don't know.
I mean, I've had loads of favorites Disney films growing up, and sort of like looking back at which ones meant the most to me growing up. Like Hercules has such a strong place in my heart. Like growing up, like the characters, the music from that, the video game. You know, I played that so much. But my friendship group at the time, my best friend, he was massively into it as well. We had the action figures and whatnot. So Hercules is always up there in the conversation for one of my favorites.
I was going to say, just to add, I would say favorite villain though is Maleficent. 100%.
Yes,
He's my favorite villain. It's just that whole, you know, she shows up. Oh yeah, she'll prick a finger and die. It's like, I like you.
I think we're still deciding how to do, because we've talked about doing like a tier list where we've actually got the tier list on screen and you can watch us drag and drop the films in and we can kind of talk about it as we go through. We've talked about doing that, but I think even just going like favorite Disney movie, Disney villain, Disney hero, Disney song, like all the ingredients, all the formula that makes a Disney movie, and maybe just talking about our favorites in separate lists. I don't know. What would you guys like to see? I think favorite for me, I always say that I think the best is Hunchback of Notre Dame, but my favorite
is it?
I think it is. I think it is. But my favorite is Beauty and the Beast, because that was that tentpole movie. Little Mermaid started it, but Beauty and the Beast cemented it as the Disney Renaissance. The animation was outstanding. You could see it was drawing. And this is what this film should have been, right? It was drawing inspiration from the old, but it was moving animation and storytelling and animation in a completely different direction.
The one thing I would say, you know, when you have like those lists, you have like favorite this, and you have like rising star. I think rising, it doesn't work exactly in that sentence, but for me would be Lady and the Tramp, the one that from this retrospective I found as a whole. Like, do you know what? That's the one that, doing this retrospective, has been my favorite to review. Doing it, that was my favorite surprise.
Didn't Disney say that was his favorite? Was that what Walt Disney said was his favorite? I forget.
Well, great minds think alike, you know.
Yeah. Least favorite for me? Oh God, I mean, it's probably Chicken Little. The Wild, I agree with you. That would probably be in the conversation as well, but it's not made by Disney Animation Studios, so. But just the fact that it's included in the classics line, I'll mention that's one of my least favorite, but it's not there. So I'd probably say Chicken Little. Oh God, I forgot all the ones we've talked about now.
Chicken Little, the one with the shittest animation.
I'll say Big Hero 6. No, I probably wouldn't say that's one of the worst.
No, Big Hero 6 is alright.
I mean, I'm not as keen on it as you are, but yeah, it's probably Chicken Little. That, or I was going to say like maybe Home on the Range.
Do you know what? That's the most forgettable, I think, Home on the Range. It's been the one I've forgotten about the most.
I like the villain song in that, but beyond that, I mean, you've got the wartime ones as well, like Saludos Amigos and Three Caballeros. And whatnot,
but they were having a moment. They were having a moment.
They've got a bit of a charm to them, and I do like the animation in them still. So, Yeah, I mean, I'd probably say Chicken Little or Home on the Range. That was a fucking low point for Disney. That was right there.
Yeah.
Brinsley says, I didn't hate Encanto, but I missed the full review, unfortunately. Well, check
Oh
it out.
yeah,
It's on the
don't.
channel. You could
Yeah,
go back and watch it. It was a fun one to rant about.
it was. I wouldn't watch the whole movie if you haven't watched the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
I would do something else with my time. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a whole catalog of Final Fantasy games you could play. You know, I'm just saying. You know, there's a Kingdom Hearts series you could play. You know, there's a wall I painted you can watch dry. Like, there's better things you can do with your life.
Cole, what's your Kingdom Hearts progress? Let us know, because
I
last we
honestly
heard
thought
you
you were going to
downloaded the
say.
games.
I honestly thought you were going to say, Carl, what's your favorite color paint to watch dry? I honestly thought that's where it was going. And
Brinsley said, would you say this film is a worthy film for the 100th anniversary? Absolutely not. No. It's taking all the iconography from Disney films that mean so much more and have way more impact and stronger storytelling, stronger
yeah.
characters,
Oh yeah, the
good moral
storytelling
and
was.
message behind them. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a facade of Disney. This is
And
the
do you know
yeah.
what though? Because you mentioned the music bloat.
Let's
I
talk about
think
the music.
I did like 50% of the songs. None stand out after watching it, but I did enjoy them when they were there. I was like, this is quite nice. But like I say, 50% of the songs, I do agree. There was a lot where, and I think this is one thing that makes Disney musicals work as well. Is it's not a constant song, 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 song. It's like it's where they're necessary. Um, and yeah, it was quite. There was a lot, wasn't there?
6, 7, 8 songs in this. Yeah, it's a lot, and I think with this film, some of the songs just didn't feel like they were needed. It felt like, right, we're losing the audience because we haven't got much of a story. Let's get another song in there. And I've mentioned this before. I think a good musical, in general, musical doesn't have to be a Disney film, should propel the story forward or should say something about the character. They can be just in there for fun. You know, if you look at like Trash in the Camp from Tarzan, for example, it's just the gorillas and Tantor just tearing up the camp.
You know what your
But that
favorite thing
does
about
have
Trash in the Camp is? It's really not the standout song.
no, but at least that does technically have an impact in the story because when Clayton and Jane and her father come back, they see the gorillas in the camp. So there is still technically a story element to that. With this one, I really didn't feel that. I feel like it was just a lot of the songs just
What,
kind of
like
blurred into
Joker
one for
2?
me. Yes. I will say the music in this is definitely a lot better than Joker 2. But for me, a lot of the songwriting in this, the songs just felt kind of meandering. There wasn't sort of like a main hook to the song that is memorable to me or singable. And also, just it kind of felt like The Greatest Showman, how that is just very poppy and it sounds like every single top 40s pop chart song all kind of merged into one. It's bits of everything that you've heard before. And also just like the singing and the style of the music really didn't feel congruous with the world or the culture or anything like that. A good Disney film, where like when it jumps into the song, like with a character's voice or with the culture it's set in, it feels like it's a part of it. Even when that music isn't a part of the culture, where you got something like Disney's Hercules, and they go with like a kind of gospel Motown kind of sound. Well, that doesn't mesh with Greek mythology, but like the voices of the characters and sort of like the zaniness to the animation and the energy of that film, it matches. Whereas this one, when Chris Pine started singing and they're floating all the orbs above their heads, it felt like so poppy. It felt like they'd got like a different voice actor. They hadn't. It's still him singing, but just the whole musical style really didn't merge for me in this one. There's not a memorable song for me in this
I
at
did
all.
like. I call it the bubble song because you know when all the wishes are all in their little bubbles and they're doing that, and I did like that song. I thought it was
That's
like
at
quite
all
nice.
costs. Yeah, I was going to ask you what
Yeah,
your favorite song of this would be.
mine.
Yeah.
I would say that stands out the most to me because that was the first. Because I didn't like the first song in the movie.
Oh,
Um,
Welcome to Rosas.
I
Yeah.
didn't. Yeah, I didn't hate it, but I was there just like, like I was like, what is this? Like it just because the thing is as well. And doing this retrospective, every time now we see a Disney movie, you know, with the music, I judge it quite a bit now. I'm like, right, so where are we going? Like, do you know what I mean? I'm thinking like,
Mhm.
where are we going to go with this music? What's the kind of style that we're going to go? And I listened to it and I went, like, do you know what I mean? Thinking we might get better, but also I haven't heard anything about any Wishes music. I haven't heard anything about you had this song from Wish, you had this, you had that. I hadn't really heard anything about it.
Mhm.
So you know, I thought we might not be going anywhere special, but then the second song happened. I was like, I kind of like it. But then that also begs the question of, did I like it because the first one was kind of and I thought, oh, this is actually better. But I did like it. I just, yes, none of it was memorable.
At all costs, it kind of plays around with the meter of the song a little bit. It feels like it's in sort of like a weird time signature, and it's a break from the norm, I suppose, from the rest of it. I think, to summarize my thoughts on the music with this, it feels like it was done out of necessity. It's like, oh, we've got to have songs in. Let's just put one in there. Let's put one in there. And you could have told this film without songs, honestly. So it feels like Welcome to Rosas. It's just like, oh, that's our song that welcomes us into the world and shows us what world we're in. You know, welcome to the family Madrigal, to raise the spectre of that song from Encanto. And then you've just got a whole bunch of, like, at all costs. I can't call that a villain song. It's just another song that's stuck in there. Then you've got This Wish, which is probably like your main one. The I Want song. And then there's I'm a Star. I don't even remember that one. This is the Thanks I Get. That's sort of your villain song, I suppose. Knowing what I know now, that's... I don't know. I can't remember these songs. I watched it today.
There wasn't a structure to it, in the sense of there wasn't a whole, like, form. It's really weird that there was no formula to it, but it felt like there was no formula of a whole, right, we've got to have a big song. We've got to have this. We've got to have this. Going back to Frozen as well, I as much as I really like that movie and I really like the music, I don't think Frozen had as that much. I did like the music in it. Like I said before, because I know you were kind of similar on Frozen as you are to this, and so there's not really the kind of vibe.
Yeah.
I did like it, so I don't agree with that. But what I'm saying is, I think what they did as well, it was kind of like, let's write this hit, let's write this hit. They had a couple of, like, Do You Want to Build a Snowman and stuff like that, where they were just like, this could be a big song, this could be a big song. I don't know, but I feel like when they wrote this music for that, Let It Go, they were like, oh, it's going to be a single, it's going to be big, whatever. But I don't know if they were fully sure which one was going to be the bigger hit.
Mm-hmm.
At first, and then obviously when they took it to test audience and stuff, they realized, okay, this is, but when they did it initially, I think they were kind of like, but it could be that, they weren't sure. And the reason I bring that up is because it kind of, again, is the whole, like, I feel like nowadays Disney don't have as big of a direction with the music, whereas they used to be like, this is this big song, and then there's this, and this is your ballad, this is your villain song, this is this. And this, again, is a good example of a movie where, like you say, there wasn't a load of direction. It was kind of like they just threw a load of songs in there. Yeah, it's weird compared to Frozen, because I did really like the music in that. But, yeah, it's just an example of how you can see when there's no plan of, this is your this is your big song, this is this song. Difference is, Frozen wrote a lot of really good songs that were like, this could be big, this could be big, this could be big. Whereas this was kind of like, yeah, here you go. Here you go.
We need Alan Menken back. We need him back. How old is it? 75. We can get him back. He can write more music. If John Williams is still writing music, my God, I've jinxed it now.
John Williams,
my God,
is old.
We need to stop. I regret that I've mentioned his name now. Whoops.
Do you know what though? Fuck, the thought's gone. Completely gone, and it was a good thought. But anyway, what would have made this movie better is if the goat was voiced by David Jason. That would have been good.
Sure.
That would have been fucking class.
Did you ever see the BFG movie, the animated BFG movie from like 89
the one with the
or
weird,
whatever?
the weird, yeah, I've seen bits of it, but not the 90s one, the weird one.
Well, the Spielberg one that came out?
Yeah, not that one. That was class. Is it?
What, I'm talking about the hand-drawn animated one, not the CGI Uncanny Valley.
Yeah, so the good one.
Yeah, the David Jason played the BFG.
Yeah, so only because you said the animated one, and I thought you were on about the shit one. I went,
no, that was awful.
The good one, yeah, the good one. I've seen that many times.
Yeah,
my nan used to love that movie. I feel like that was the only video my nan had, because every time I went, she put it on for me, and it was great. But it was, that was a great film.
Brinsley says favorite modern Disney film. Well, I think first we need to qualify where we're starting modern Disney from.
Frozen, because it has a hot princess.
Because I'm thinking Tangled from 2010, but then you got some more hand-drawn. But then you got more hand-drawn ones after that. So let's see, modern Disney.
Where does it start?
They do say, I think, that it did start with Tangled in it. Didn't they say that helped to sort of revive it? It was almost like the new Disney Renaissance in a way.
I, I don't know. I want to say Frozen.
So it says the Disney revival era refers to an era beginning in 2008 and 2009 with the releases of Bolt and Princess and the Frog, and ending in 2022 with the release of Strange World.
What a way to end it! Fucking hell.
Where the animation studio returned to making successful animated films. Okay, I guess we're talking about modern era. The technical term for it is the Disney revival era. So it starts from Bolt then. I mean, if we're including that, I would say Princess and the Frog, but I'd probably go with Tangled, where they went with the computer animated style, which would be later adopted.
I mean, Tangled or Frozen. Yeah.
I mean, if we're counting that, I guess Princess and the Frog, yeah, Tangled, anything more modern, and Moana for me. I do like Zootopia as well. I really do like Zootopia, but yeah, my top three would probably be Princess and the Frog, Tangled, and Moana.
I forgot about Moana. Don't know why, but I feel like we had that period of like good movies where we had Zootopia, Moana. I mean, Frozen, and shit. What else was there? Like Wreck-It Ralph was great. I feel like we had a good period. And now we don't.
To me, it peaked with Moana. For me, I think.
Yeah, no, Moana is good, and that feels like a proper traditional, actual proper Disney movie. They shouldn't have made Moana 2. We don't know why. We know why they did that, but it was a terrible idea.
Yeah,
I ain't seen it yet, but it sounds like a bad idea to me.
So I wonder what we call this new era then, because if it goes from Bolt from 2008 to Strange World in 2022,
the sequel era.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess so. I mean, this would kickstart with Wish, and then just a whole bunch of sequels. Yeah, no, you're right.
I do really wonder what this untitled one will be like. I wonder where they're going to go with it.
But wait and see.
I don't know. I'm hoping for. Do you know what? I don't know what I'm hoping for, to be fair, but yeah, because will they do animation like this? In a way, it would look nice, but it's so unique that it's like I was doing the same thing. But it's weird because it's so unique that I kind of want to, keep it just as Wish, because it's something that Wish had, which was like, do you know what, that was really cool. But I'd rather it was a better movie that was remembered for that.
Yeah.
But I do. But the thing is, the animation is definitely the best thing about this. There's certain scenes and certain characters that move a certain way that it just looks even better. The animation was great.
JD Seaman says it's nice that you brought up the 1989 version of the BFG because compared to how comical the evil giants are portrayed as in the 2016 Spielberg version, the evil 1989 giants are more menacing.
They were great,
100%, and such like unique looks to them as well. All I remember from the new ones is that they just kind of looked like the lumbering. They all looked identical, like lumbering CGI monstrosities.
You remember the Snozcumber?
Yes.
Is that what it's called? Yeah, that's what it's called. Yeah, and you know what? I think that movie did really well, making it seem like a proper alien-like food. That's disgusting. And like, I think that was the portrayal of it was great.
The animation was fantastic. I was actually listening. It's funny we bring it up now. I was listening to the soundtrack a couple of nights ago. You know how you just have like a film, something triggers in your mind like a moment of nostalgia. And I was thinking of that Somewhere Secretly when they're floating and that kind of pop song plays when they're in dreamland.
Yeah,
that song popped into my head and I had to listen to it. And you can actually find the album on Spotify.
That's
They've got
it.
the whole thing.
Oh, do you know what? That's bringing back so many memories. Was it Fizz Pop Whiz Bang or whatever it's called?
Whiz Pop Whiz Bang, feel the bubbles go down. Yeah,
that's it. Oh, that was great.
We should review that. We should go back. You know what? I'm going to pitch something to you after we've finished here, because we're trying to. We've got another retrospective planned for June. I guess we can say that midway through June. I won't give away what it is now, but it is animation related. So if we want to keep in the realms of animation, because I think that could be cool to do if we did, maybe just like each week we both recommend a film from our childhood or something like that, like an animated film of some kind. Because I'd go for the BFG. It's been a long time since I've seen that, and I think it's been released on Blu-ray since then. So that could be a long time
since I've seen it. That was a good movie. That one.
Well, I remember just like all the giants looked terrified. Like each one had a unique look to them. There was one moment that like scarred me for life as a child, and whenever there was a jump scare in a movie or a bit that like really scared me, I'd always try and memorize when the jump scare happened down to the millisecond, so I could sort of mentally prepare myself for it. One of those moments was in Fox and the Hound, was when the bear shows up at the end and just appears out of nowhere. Scared the hell out of me. But another was the BFG, and I think it's when the blood bottler, this big, like, fat, overweight dad bod one, comes in with a moustache and starts trashing the place. And it's like a really, like, quiet moment between BFG and Sophie, and they're having a conversation. Then all of a sudden he's like, "Wah!" And he, like, comes crashing in. Scared the shit out of me as a child. He had the flesh lump eater as well, who had, like, all those, like, cool piercings and, like,
and they actually had cool names like that.
And he had the coke nail, didn't he? He had, like, the one long fingernail. I remember watching that Spielberg one and just thinking, this has got none of the sort of eerie, dark quality that original one had, because that's got some scary fucking moments in it, and, you know, like the subject matter and whatnot. And it was just so asinine, that new version. I really liked how they added. I mean, it was.
I like
added
that word. Asinine.
Yeah.
Never heard that in my life. What does it mean?
Asinine. I know when to use it in conversation, but I'm crap.
You don't know what it means.
No, I know when to use it. Asinine. Let's see. It says another term for asinine. Just tell me what asinine means.
Do you know what? I'm so nerdy about words. I hear them. I'm like, that's so cool. I love that. That's amazing.
I'm
I literally had a dream about words the other night. Like how
you had a dream about words.
Yeah, like sentences were flying. Right. They were flying through my head, and then like other words would replace certain words. Like
extremely stupid or foolish. There we go.
I like that word. But like, yeah, I had a dream about like words were flying through my head, and then every now and then they'd be smacked off by another word that would appear because it was another way of saying it, and it was a really cool way. And that was my dream the other night, and I've never felt nerdier.
Maybe that was the BFG. He gave you that dream. He appeared in your window with his big trumpet, and oh my god!
I remember that was great.
Yeah, the flesh lump here. My god, that ending terrified me. You know, when she's like hiding in the table and he's like trying to like. Yeah. We need to talk about that.
They don't make movies like that anymore.
They really don't. That was a made for ITV movie as well. I checked, and it's one film that Roald Dahl watched and actually really enjoyed it, because he was very, very negative at a lot of the other adaptations. Yeah. He hated Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh yeah. Do you know what? Good thing he didn't see fucking Johnny Depp's one. That would have fucking killed him.
Oh God, yeah.
That was a bad movie. Didn't they make an adaptation of The Twits? Probably like a TV movie.
I think it was a TV one. Yeah.
The Witches? No, The Witches was all right.
The Witches got two. The original's great with
Yeah, and
what's her name?
Anne Hathaway's in the new one, isn't she?
That was in the new one.
Yeah, that I never saw. I don't plan to.
What was she plays Morticia in the Addams Family. She played something.
Yeah, I can't remember her name, but yeah,
Jessica Hughes. I forgot her name. Oh fuck, what's her name? Yeah, and it's like awesome practical effect makeup and everything, like with a massive nose and grotesque. Yeah,
that was. No, but the thing is what didn't Roald Dahl say? Never edit my books. Like, do not edit any words and stuff. But there's loads of editing and shit now. Loads of editing in them. Like in the Twits, I can't remember. I read one of the paragraphs from the Twits and what they changed, and I don't remember for the life of me what it is. But it was like I read the original, and I was reading this paragraph about it. And it was like, not the original. I mean, I did read the original book when I was a kid, but what I mean is like, I was reading this article basically said about it, and it had the original paragraph, and it was saying, they changed it. And when I read it, I was like, what the fuck are they going to change in that? Like, this is going to be stupid. But then I thought, when you can, you kind of get that thought of just like, it might have been this little sentence. Really was nothing to do what you thought it was. It was something really dumb. I don't remember for the life of me what it was. But it was something silly like, they covered their because I remember in the Twits they boarded up their windows so people couldn't see in, and they were saying, but the real reason for a window is so you can see outside, and it was something like because they rewrote something, and it was something like because that seemed aggressive towards people, and I was like. What? I can't remember what it was, but either way, the point is it was done out, and Roald Dahl was like, you should never change any of my stuff. And And I read it and I was like, you know how fucking disrespectful that is. I was like,
when you
that's
start
fucking...
getting to the point where you're editing books and not by the author themselves, you're getting into very, very slippery territory there.
Yeah, I think that's I think it's disgusting when that kind of stuff happens. And the thing I
Yeah.
like about books as well is you can go that little bit further because it's not visual. And you've never had an age rating on a book, have we?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, you don't get age ratings on books, and it's like, you know, you can like, I don't know. I mean,
well, I guess you kind of do. This is like for preschool. This is like a teenage
but
book, like young
you
adult
get
or whatnot.
ratings on movies. Like if a kid goes to buy a movie that's an 18, they're going to be turned down. I don't believe a kid going to buy, you know, if you had a 5-year-old buying 50 Shades of Grey, I don't think the book clerk is allowed to turn him down because I don't think there's, I mean, I don't know, but I don't think so because it's an age rating. Because the thing is, everyone would know what 50 Shades of Grey is, right? But if he was buying a book about, you know, sexual penetration and fucking mutilation and shit, let's say, because you know what kids are into. But let's say they go to buy one and you're selling the book. It's got no, you don't know what the book is. You don't know what it contains. It's not got an age rating. So I'm pretty sure there's no.
Never thought of that.
Yeah, I don't know. But the point is, like, why are we changing these books? Why are we doing that? When it comes to movies and stuff like that, I guess there's that whole to make it work in that rating. Like, oh, we've got to edit this out so it can actually become an 18. Blah 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 blah. But in books, what the fuck? Why are we doing it?
Well, yeah, and I think books as well as films are sort of like a historic.
Yeah,
once
it's made, there shouldn't be any changes. And yeah, I think I thought that was horrible as well because Roald Dahl really didn't want his stuff changing. It's like, oh, we're changing this here and that. I mean, fuck, I was not.
It's a moment of history, like for better or worse, and you know, even going back to like some of the older Disney films, and well, they do edit those, but sometimes they'll put that disclaimer. It's just, I always think they should remain unchanged, exactly as they are, for preservation purposes, you know, and then you can learn from it and you can choose to be better or, you know, or whatever from that, learn from what came before. I think it's important. I'm not going to say I agree with it. Of course not.
When do we start editing history?
Exactly. So well, they've already started.
Well, yeah. Hitler didn't invade Poland. He was actually a nice guy.
We've got Kevin Davis in the comments who says, very concerned with Disney creating original films now because people are going to wait for on Disney Plus. Yeah, well, we say that Moana 2's made a lot of money, I think, hasn't it? Surprising
last
amount.
time I checked, it was 800 million.
Well, we'll be getting a Moana 3 then, I guess, by the sounds of that. That's made more than the first one. It's crossed a billion. It's crossed a billion.
Has it? Fucking hell.
Almost 1.1 billion.
Fucking hell, like, yeah.
Budget of 150 mil, say 300. Yeah, not bad for a film that was going to be a TV series on Disney Plus, and it had to get edited down into a film.
Yep, they're gonna. But I agree. Like a lot of people waiting for it on Disney Plus, aren't they now?
Now I know there's like adjusted for inflation and whatnot, but that I think the first one made like 600. That's made 400 mil more. I mean, with Frozen 1 and Frozen 2, it was like 0.2, wasn't it? Difference between. I think the first one made
But the first one made like what 1.1 billion, and it was like 1.2 or something like that.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's a very good discussion topic right there about Disney. Like people just waiting for it to be on Disney Plus, but then Moana 2 is kind of like a counter to that. But then we have seen Disney, especially with Pixar, loading loads of the Pixar original content just straight onto Disney Plus. You had what was it? Soul went up on like Boxing Day or Christmas Day or something. Turning Red, Luca, 3 massive Pixar films that were all meant to get a theatrical distribution, get put straight out on streaming services. So yeah. Brinsley says, when is the live action Moana coming out? Next year. I'm sure we're all hyped for that.
Never. It's not happening.
What's the fucking point? We've literally had a Moana 2. It's not like, you know, with all these other remakes, I don't agree with them, but they might not have been in the zeitgeist for a long time, right? You know, like remaking Cinderella that came out in the 50s. Like it hasn't been around. We're still not getting updated Cinderella content or anything like that. Moana, it was less than 10 years old when they announced it. And with a sequel already on the way. We're not leaving this world of Moana. What the fuck is the point? And also, I'm going to go on a rant now. How to Train Your Dragon live action remake. I thought that was a fucking joke when I saw the pictures from it, or I thought it was some like AI thing that someone had worked up. That's out this year, and it looks fucking terrible. What is the point now? DreamWorks are getting in on this shit. So we're getting live action Kung Fu Panda as well. You're gonna have just like these CGI fucking bears.
No, it's just gonna be
like...
Jack Black dressed as a panda.
It's like, I am Steve, and he's gonna be in like his fucking blue shirt with his beard.
That was an awful idea for a movie. I don't know why they did it.
Yep.
Never watching it, but why they did it, I don't know.
So there we go. We reviewed the one that marked the centennial. Now, I wish I could hold up the DVD case for Moana 2 for next week, but it hasn't been released yet. So I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do one better. So while I'm finding this out, why don't you sum up your thoughts on Wish?
I thought Wish was enjoyable, not to the extent that enjoyable should be, but I thought the characters weren't good. I thought the colors were cool. It looked cool. I liked the animation. It was just a nice little kind of like But you know what was weird? When I was when you watch Beauty and the Beast and shit like that, and you watch them as a kid as well, you're like, oh, that's enjoyable. And your parents watch it with you and they love it. It's great because they're great movies. This is a movie you'd put on for your kids. You'd sit there and go, kids' movies ain't for me anymore. That's how you'd think.
Yeah.
That's literally, it's that kind of movie, and it's, I feel like it's a big opportunity missed in a lot of ways, but it is what it is. And, as much as there's a big opportunity missed, it doesn't make me, when you see some movies and it turns out kind of, you're kind of sad for it thinking, oh, but that could have been so good. I'm not sad for this movie. I'm like, it was what it was, cool, and I'll forget about it in a day or two, But better than Strange World, better than fucking the other one.
Would I say this is better than Strange World? I don't know. I feel like I was more positive in my review to Strange World. Strangely enough, it's not a good movie, but I don't know. Like,
the biggest letdown of Strange World was that intro. I fucking hated that.
That's my favorite bit. That's my favorite bit.
It was fucking. Was not. I just thought it was weird.
I think so. I've been watching a lot of these with my folks, and usually they're a good tell for Disney because I say, like you mentioned there, like a good Disney film, the whole family can watch it no matter what age you are, and there's always like an.
Didn't your dad walk out of Encanto?
Yes.
Good on him.
And my mother fucking hated Encanto. She hated Strange World. My dad actually sat and watched that.
Does your dad drink beer?
He does.
I'm gonna get your dad a beer now for that because that's a good move.
He was reading the newspaper all the way through Wish today, and my mum couldn't fucking stand it. So I always think
but that actually sums it up, doesn't it? It's that whole kind of you kind of reading a book. You're reading it's kind of on in the background.
Just like glance up.
Yeah. That sums it up, to be fair.
He didn't like the music. He was like, oh, that's noise, that's pop. I was like, yeah, it is. JD Seaman says, please don't let there be an upcoming adaptation of James and the Giant Peach where the giant cloud rhinoceros was changed into a buffoonish talking rhino that's just drunk. P.S. That was a joke. I hope so. I mean, I love that film, James and the Giant Peach. I thought it was a really good adaptation.
I've not watched the film of it.
It's pretty good. Henry Selick, Nightmare Before Christmas, stop motion animation. Oh, you hate that film. But stop motion animation and the characters, it's pretty cool. Kevin Davis says, Disney Studios box office success will be Lilo and Stitch live action. Yep, Freakier Friday, Tron Ares, and Snow White live action. Oh, that's not going to be a box office success. Oh, Snow White is not going to be a box office success. I can't wait to see that film burn down in flames. And you know what? Some people may want to see a review for that. I can't do that to myself. As sort of like hate watching as that would be, and maybe a laugh if you got drunk at just the sheer incompetence of Disney. I don't think I can bring myself to give them money to go and see that, even for a review. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't think that'd even be enjoyable drunk. I find Tron weird because I never saw the second one, And the thing about Tron is because it's quite I feel like it's more of a
It's an
niche
acquired
audience.
taste. It's like a
Yeah,
cult
and
classic, isn't it? Yeah.
so I wonder why they pump out the sequels because I didn't know if it was doing that well for
hmm
Disney to do it. But I didn't know that.
Tron 3's been in production hell for years. Like they were going to do it right after Tron Legacy, and I think it was the box office failure of Tomorrowland where Disney said we're not going to do any more live action movies from here on in. So they're just going to wipe the slate clean. Well, they clearly are, and we're getting another Tron this year. I think it's Jared Leto in that, isn't it? That guy. Yeah. But
Yeah,
yeah, Lilo and Stitch. Predictions for that. I think that's going to make over $1 billion. I think that's going to be a big hit for them. Which means that we're going
yeah.
to be getting more live action adaptations. I've heard rumors of a Hercules one. I've heard rumors of a Tangled one. So
I reckon they should do Black Cauldron.
I would. Part of me would love them to do Black Cauldron, but they're never going to. Oh, that's
They wouldn't do
actually a
it
thing I
justice
wanted.
either.
That's one thing I wanted to add. The end credits of this film. I actually really liked how they were doing this. How they were kind of honoring the centennial. When the credits are going up, you kind of see a constellation of like Snow White and Pinocchio, and then it's Fantasia, and then it's Dumbo and Bambi. And I was like, oh my god, they're actually working through an order. So it got to Dumbo, Bambi, number 4 and 5, and I was like, right, Saludos Amigos is next. They skip Saludos Amigos, Three Caballeros, Make My Music, Fun and Fancy Free, Melody Time, and jump straight to Ichabod and Mr. Toad. So I was like, whoa, hang on, what you playing at? You should be doing all of the 60 Disney films here. And then we're back on track. You get Cinderella, Alice in Wonderland, Peter Pan, Lady and the Tramp, Sleeping Beauty, 101 Dalmatians. You go all the way through these films, and then they skip out The Rescuers. And then they skipped out Black Cauldron. And I thought, oh, hell no. I know it's underrated, but don't skip that shit out.
You know what, though? That, again, is enough. That sums up Disney, what they're doing now. They're just literally going for the ones of like, oh, people remember this.
Yeah.
Where it's like Saludos Amigos and, Make My Music and all those are still important pieces of Disney, and they're just kind of being like, it didn't happen. No, it didn't happen. You know what I mean? And it's just...
That surprises me, though. You have Ichabod and Mr. Toad over The Rescuers. They didn't even have Rescuers Down Under either. They skipped that one out too.
Remember when Motley Crue did that song All Bad Things, and they had the music video and it had their albums come up, and they missed out the fucking self-titled album? Mm-hmm. And it was weird as well, because I'm like, okay, so you're missing out the albums where not all original members are on. Then they had New Tattoo, and I'm like, well, Tommy Lee's not on that album. So it just didn't make sense with like, why are they missing out that? And it's just weird. And and I was like, well, you're missing out a key part of what happened in your history here. Mm-hmm.
And then they have Disney's Dinosaur on there. They have Aladar show up, of course, because it's the US list. So we will be getting onto that eventually in 2 weeks' time. But next week we will be talking about Moana 2. Oh, it's flipped. Fuck. Moana. Whoa. Moana 2. There we go. That's what we'll be talking about.
What was that meant to be when it was upside down?
It was the fish hook. It was trying to be the number 2.
Oh, I get it. Yeah, that looks like a number 2 now. That's okay.
But it's fucked. Anyway, we'll be talking about that. So as I say, I don't have the DVD for that, so I'm going to have to try and get to the cinema to see it. I think it's still on. I think it's on this weekend, so I'm going to try and get to watch it if I can. If not, I will be having to try and watch it through other means. Yar har fiddle-dee-dee. And then we'll have 2 more after that. We'll be reviewing Disney's Dinosaur and the 2011 Winnie the Pooh, which will just tie everything off. That will be the US list, and it'll be the UK list, all done and dusted. And we'll be moving on to greener pastures, away from Disney for a while, at least until Zootopia 2 later this year. And then we'll be adding that to the playlist as well. It will be a never-ending playlist of constant Disney movies while we're still here talking about them. So guys, let us know what you'd like to see after we've talked about Disney. As I say, we do have another retrospective in June, but until that point, we've got a couple of months to fill. So let us know what you'd like to see. Any video ideas, any retrospective ideas, or maybe one-off reviews. Maybe we could do those. Let us know. JDC Man says, about my feelings about the fact that Disney is actually releasing the Lilo and Stitch remake. The bit from the original where Nani and Lilo scream into their pillow summarizes its existence. Yeah. Although we might get the surfing scene.
Well, what's Lilo going to hide in? A washing machine? Or
it'll be cupboard? Something. Yeah. Maybe what did they change it to?
A cupboard. Or maybe, because it's Disney, she'll be hiding her gender.
I was going to say maybe a cupboard's too life-threatening now. Maybe even since then, maybe we need to change it again.
I find it funny that instead of, you know, parents teaching their kids not to be stupid and hide in washing machines, Disney just went, "Oh, we'll just change our movie." It's like,
yeah.
No, I mean, if I had a kid and they were eating fucking like Tide Pods and hiding in washing machines, look, I'd be like, look, I don't want you to die, but it's kind of your problem.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? I'd be there, my missus would be crying. I'd be like, well, in all fairness, he was a dumb kid. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is not your fault. This is not my fault. Like, he's a prick. We'll just move on with our lives.
All I'm
Even though it would be
saying,
our fault
like,
being the parents, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. Nani and that lifeguard have got to have them thick thighs. If they're not thick with 2 C's, then instant 0 stars for me.
This is why, do you know what? I don't want a live action of Frozen just because they wouldn't be able to do Elsa justice. They just wouldn't.
Or Atlantis. Oh God, Esmeralda as well.
Yeah.
Don't know. Anyway, God help us. Hopefully they don't do live action remakes, but it's going to make over $1 billion, and that'll be them going, oh, people want more of this. And How to Train Your Dragon's probably going to make a shit ton as well, and I'm just going to lose the fucking will to live. Brinsley says, have you guys watched Severance yet? Season 2 just started airing right now. I haven't even heard of Severance, I don't think. How about you, Dale? You seen Severance Season 2?
No, I have not.
I'm
the worst for series. Series is the worst thing to talk to me about because I can't follow them. Mm-hmm. Not that I can't follow them, but like I say, if something doesn't intrigue me within the first 2 minutes, I zone out, and then before you know it, I don't know what's going on anymore.
I've started a new series yesterday. I've watched the first 2 episodes of it, and I might regret my life decisions with this. I've started Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Now, I've got to watch 3 seasons of that, and then when you get to season 4, you've got to watch it in a certain order because it crosses over with Angel. So you've got to watch like 2 episodes of Buffy, then 1 episode of Angel, then 1 episode of that, then 4 episodes of that.
Isn't that Daphne?
Yes, Sarah Michelle Gellar. Yeah.
It is, same one. I get her confused with who plays Sabrina Teenage Witch.
Oh, God. Now you've asked me something.
Yeah, I get them confused every now and then.
Is it Amy something? I can't remember.
Yeah, I get them confused.
Melissa Joan Hart. There we
That's
go.
It.
Where did I get Amy from?
I don't know. What does she do now?
I saw her at Comic-Con a few years back, so she's around.
Still exists.
Yeah. Dale, after his kids eat Tide Pods, they didn't put an age rating on the instructions. Why didn't they read it?
Hey, well, you know, I'm just saying, I feel like we should give people more benefit. Well, we shouldn't because they're fucking idiots. But it should be, you know, natural selection. That's all I'm saying. Like, you know,
it's like Carl Pilkington. He said that.
Yeah, literally natural selection of fucking like, you know, I didn't eat a Tide Pod when I was a kid because 1, my parents taught me better, and 2, I wasn't a fucking idiot, and 3, I do genuinely believe if I did as a kid, my parents would be sad for a day and then go, well, you know what, he's a bit of a twat.
Yeah.
Let's move on. So
there we go. Right, guys, I think we're going to round off for tonight on here. I do want to say a big thank you to... I've seen some new faces tonight dropping some comments. This is great. So thank you for coming aboard and commenting along. We always appreciate you guys keeping the conversation going. Please do consider subscribing to the channel for more movie reviews, discussions, and live streams. I am going to be in contact with Everything in Middle-earth because I'm going to try and get another collaboration video with him. We've got an idea for the next video that we want to do. There's no Star Wars review now on Wednesday, so my Wednesdays are free. So I'm going to try and think of another video to do throughout the week. It might not be Wednesday, but some point this week I want to try and do it. Are
you going to review Wednesday?
I haven't seen Wednesday actually. Maybe before season 2 comes out.
Shit, don't do it.
I've actually seen everything Tim Burton's ever done apart from Wednesday and Beetlejuice 2. They're the 2 things I haven't seen.
Wednesday's shit. I feel like you deserve better than that. And I've heard Beetlejuice 2 isn't great. I'm not in a rush.
Yeah, that's why I stayed away from it.
I will probably watch it one day, but I'm not in a rush.
And if you haven't done so already, and you're discovering this video after the fact and you've made it this far, first off, thank you. But let us know your thoughts on Wish. Maybe we're too critical on it, or maybe we're too ambivalent towards it, but let us know. Maybe it's one of your favorite Disney films, although I haven't heard anyone talk about this movie beside ourselves. So
like
there we go.
All.
Yeah, just nothing. Yeah, we'll round off then. So thank you for everyone tuning in. We will see you next week for Moana 2. See you then.